I mean, we're only 4 minutes late. What do you want? What do you expect?
That's early by our standards.
I,
It
I
really
don't
kind of is.
see the problem, but
Technically speaking, we were supposed to be on Tuesday, so
I guess
so
we're
we're
48
4 minutes late,
hours
or yeah.
and 4 minutes late. But, we reserve the right to do the show when we want because it's our show. So what are you going to do?
Works for
It's
me.
USfanTV. We talk about soccer and things, life.
Fan TV. We're talking about the US and fan TV.
We've got lots of stuff to talk about tonight, which is good because we like when we have things to talk about. Because when we don't, we end up taking just the most random questions, which is actually, you know what, that's kind of fun too. So we should tell you our names. I am Pat. We have TJ with us,
Morning or afternoon, evening, wherever it is. I have no idea what time it is right now.
holding a baby and a burp cloth. And he is Chris.
I am Chris. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you. Hunter says we should be watching the draft. Do you know that the NFL draft is the least appealing sports thing? I would rather watch almost anything in the world of sports than the NFL draft. I hate the NFL draft.
I got kind of yelled at by my girlfriend earlier for commenting on how is it that it's on Fox and ESPN. I can't imagine anything worse than watching a draft for any sport on TV. Like
At least
it's like
NBA draft goes quick.
I guess, but I mean, either way, like other than the opening when everyone boos the Ginger Hammer, I just don't get it.
What? Okay, so the reason why it's on Fox is that was part of them paying a shit ton of money for the Thursday package.
Yeah.
But here's a question for you: which one is better to be booed? Which one is better? Because there's two legend. Obviously, Goodell at the draft, and then with the Stanley Cup, Bettman. Which one is better when they get booed?
The Bettman one always makes me uncomfortable too because you've done something, especially if it's on home ice, you've done something like the best thing you can do, and everybody still goes out of their way to boo him. Like there's no euphoria there when that guy walks out. But
Goodell, I just feel like it's well. I mean, granted, I think in both cases it's institutionalized or something. You know, like people are doing it just because they've done it.
Like Wenger out signs, hopefully.
A little bit.
By the way, we haven't talked about that.
Yeah, I'm sure that will come up. But I guess I'm always a little bit in awe of how loud they are when Goodell comes out. Like the guy's mic'd up, and I'm sure they're turning his mic up. I'm sure they've got those speakers like peaked as high as they can when he comes out, and you still can't hear him because of the boos.
Yeah,
I'm a little bit impressed by that, but otherwise, I just
this year
it's
was
like
at
watching government.
It was this year. It was at Jerry's World, right? It was at AT&T Stadium.
Yeah.
Right, where other years it's been in like some theater. So you have a lot more people that could be excessively loud with Roger Goodell. Not that he doesn't deserve every bit of it. He sure as hell does. As does Bettman, come to think of it. He's canceled almost 2 hockey seasons. That ass clown deserves anything he gets, and he should be booed every time he is on camera anywhere.
All right, so we're going to talk about American football anymore, don't worry. We just want to make fun of the NFL draft. But we have Concacaf Champions League, Chivas winning Michael Bradley's penalty again. And we're going to talk about him. The 5:28 game against Bolivia will feature Christian Pulisic. We know that because U.S. Soccer went out of their way to tell us he's going to play there, probably in an effort to sell some tickets. We're going to talk about how weird it is that they announced one player ahead of time. I can never remember that happening before.
A month out, and we know one guy will be playing.
Fox is going to call a lot of their games off of TV monitors in Los Angeles rather than have people actually in the stadiums, which is, they do for Champions League all the time. It's not that unusual. They're a pretty cheap broadcast company as it is, but this is a really disappointing effort from Fox. I don't think it's as bad as some people have talked about. I like some of these people involved in the broadcast, but we'll talk about that. And Josh Sargent getting some first team minutes. We'll talk about that. And plus, I'm sure we have more to talk. And Arsene Wenger, not related to U.S. soccer. At least I hope it never becomes related to U.S. soccer.
Oh God,
we can get in. We could segue in with Gideon Zalalem if we need to. If we really need to stay on target, but it's our show. We'll do what we want. That was amazing, incredible news. If you're an Arsenal fan, so Let's start with. I think we got to start with Concacaf Champions League because that's
Agreed.
it happened. Toronto. I guess you say won the game 2-1.
They did the damn thing. I mean, went
Yeah.
all the way to Mexico and managed to pull out the victory.
And you know what?
And then
Again, Michael Bradley was the best player on the field, or one of them, certainly by any measure. And then he skied the penalty, and that's what everybody's going to talk about, and that's how everybody's going to remember that game. And it makes me sad because he played center back and he was awesome. So,
which, until maybe a year ago, I had been talking about maybe that was his future position for the U.S. because it's not like he was ever a speed demon, but he is good positionally. And if we're going to start playing out of the back, it's nice to have somebody who you can feel secure with the ball. Maybe that could have been his position. Now, granted, I think we've advanced our center backs enough that that's no longer an option. But I guess the big thing to me was looking at last night's game. It's kind of like a microcosm of his last year or year and a half or whatever. That great player, key player, had a lot of good moments, and killed it at the end. Like the finale was a letdown. And it it's unfortunate. A lot of people are saying what this means for his legacy in particular, but Josie's too, between that game and then last night's game. I don't. Sure. Their national team careers will always go down with a bit of an asterisk there, as yep, they're the ones who did it or didn't do it, I guess, as the case may be. But does this truly change who they are or the value Bradley brought to TFC throughout this tournament, and has really since he came there. But I mean, in particular, last season on their way to the MLS Cup, this was whatever. It's a down moment. It sucks that it came right there. He does fall kind of into that pantheon of guys who just could never seem to get it done across sports. Those players that they just have that history of they were always right there and just somehow always failed in the end. But
how can you say he failed in the end? He, like you said, he's already won MLS Cup.
Yeah,
they've already won the Supporters Shield. Last I checked, I do remember Roberto Baggio skying one in the finals of the '94 World Cup.
Didn't Messi miss in the New York Copa America final?
Correct, and I was going to get to Lionel Messi. But my point being is, I don't think less of Roberto Baggio as a player. I don't think he's any worse of a player.
I don't for that. I thought it less of him just for playing for Italy. But
well, yeah, there's that. But and same with Lionel Messi. Is Messi's legacy tainted because he missed in New York? And he skied his.
People in Argentina might think so.
If you listen to Argentinians, they think his legacy is tainted.
So,
but I totally agree. It sucks that that's how he had. I mean, and on top of it, he's not the only one to miss. I mean, Osorio also missed, but so it's not as though it was there was just a clean sweep and he screwed it. But whatever. I guess my point would be to agree, and that's or would be in agreement that it sucks as the period to the sentence, but it was still a pretty good sentence.
I'm going to say that too. I'm going to point out that I did pick Chivas to win it, and I did say that at some point there'd be a shit show, and I think Giovinco getting punched qualifies.
Didn't he get a yellow for that too? Is that the one where he wound up getting called for the foul or getting a card for diving or something like that because the ref?
No, I don't think so, but I may be mixing that up.
I thought I might be at this point too. It's all starting to blur, but I think I'm looking through the chat and I see Zach Donovan has probably talking about Messi. The reason why Argentina is in any of those finals is because of him, obviously.
Toronto doesn't get there without Michael Bradley. So.
That was bingo. That's my point. And who's to say they're not going to make it back next year? Last I checked, they're still pretty darn good.
True, yeah. And you have to think, I mean, pretty much all their main guys are still in that window of their prime where 12 months shouldn't really matter.
Yeah, I would expect that they're going to be. I mean, they're not tremendous in the table right now, but they're short some games and they've been focusing on this. So now you would think their attention turns to the MLS season. I believe they have the Fire this weekend.
They do. That's correct.
And so you would maybe hope that they're going to be tired for that game against the Fire, and then maybe you'd expect to see them pick it up a bit. I still think they're an awesome team. People call them the greatest MLS team. That seems like a weird qualifier. They're just MLS isn't that old, but I guess you can have a greatest team at this point. I don't know. DC United won a lot of MLS Cups in the beginning.
Well, and
DC, Galaxy has won a lot. So.
Didn't DC United win? They won the Concacaf Champions Tournament when it was just that weekend tournament.
Yeah.
And then they won that home and home against Vasco, that again. So, yeah, they were pretty good too. It says Hector saying they blew their last chance in the 92nd minute. This game was lost this entire tie was lost in Toronto.
Yeah.
You got to play better at home.
Yeah.
So, no, it doesn't ruin Bradley's legacy. Let's move on. There's got to be there are other things to talk about, isn't there? Now, here's my question for you guys. How did you watch the game last night?
I saw highlights today.
Okay. I saw Twitter losing its damn mind because it was on Go 90 and then I think it was on Unimas.
Right.
So, the Champions League, CONCACAF Champions League only, last night it's a midweek game. It's a 2-leg thing. So it's always during the week. Last I checked, the Europa League finals played in the middle of the week. And it's not on Fox. It might be on Fox Soccer Channel or FS1, but it's not anywhere special. If it was a single leg final, you could make a justification, move it to a weekend and put it on. But last I checked, the NBA playoffs, the NHL playoffs, you got the draft coming up. Major League Baseball is in full swing. I don't see why anybody in the United States really would want to put it on TV. Not that it's a bad game or anything. There's just things that get a lot higher ratings that these companies spend a ton more money on to put on TV ahead of it.
No, that's absolutely
that's
true.
it.
Yeah, especially when there's just not enough made of CONCACAF Champions League, and even what is made of it is fairly recent. I mean, so long as it's still effectively a preseason tournament for MLS, it's not even while MLS is truly up and running, and it's when baseball's just started. The NCAA tournaments going on.
It was even in the soccer world. It was not even close to the game I was looking forward to the most yesterday. And TJ Sally, you're right. The 2-leg final sucks, and the only reason I think they still do it is because I don't think this tournament's big enough to hold a neutral site game and have people actually go and have it feel like a big event. So they have to rely on the home fans in the two cities to do it. But a 2-leg final sucks. Like a final should be a final. And maybe it could be one of those things where you just rip the Band-Aid off and do it. And if the crowds don't go, or if you put it in Los Angeles or somewhere where there'd be a lot of fans of the different Mexican teams and maybe the Galaxy would be in it or something, you could strategize around that and hope for the best there. But maybe you just do it and then people will start watching it because now it's a final. It's a real final. So
yeah, I kind of like your idea, Pat. If you're going to go that route, then LA, Dallas, Houston, and maybe Mexico City. That would be the only places you're going to be. And you could probably draw off of that and make it an event, but that would be about it. You're right. It's just there's too much going on at this point in the sports calendar. So, like you said, when it's not even the biggest game of the day for you.
No, I mean, I was way, way, way more excited about Bayern and Real, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's on tonight too. So,
although that game wasn't fantastic either.
It was entertaining. I would have preferred Bayern beat Real Madrid, but if we talk about today's game,
oh my god, I'm like blowing your chances.
I will say Griezmann's goal, he did the dance, which I knew was from Fortnite because I have a 7-year-old who plays Fortnite. So, and they do that dance at soccer practice. So when I saw Griezmann do the dance, I'm like, holy shit, that's the dance the kids do. And then my son's like, that's from Fortnite. And I felt really old that he had to explain to me. So,
Well, you are really old,
I
so that kind of.
But yeah,
He's the youngest one on the show.
Arsenal played 11v10 for like 83 minutes, something like that, and still
had
goal.
lots of chances and put one in.
So yeah, that's going to be a tough measure, tough thing to get done next week in Madrid, but we'll see. Do we want to touch on Arsene Wenger? We probably should.
I figured somebody
People were tweeting at us like crazy when it happened, and you, for the record, let the record show, I woke up, opened my eyes, saw the text from you, Chris, and you were the one who told me that he had resigned, and I was thinking, is Chris confused? Was there a hyphen in there? Did he resign? It's one of the weirdest things in the English language to me that those two words have complete opposite meanings if you remove the hyphen, but that's neither here nor there. But yes,
my girlfriend woke me up with the news.
Arsene Wenger is out. I hope the signs continue, though.
Yeah, I assume then if whoever the next manager is, if things don't go well, they won't even jump to like Allegri or whatever out. It'll still be like Wenger out.
Yeah, and that would be perfect at that point. The best would be if we could get him to hold up a Wenger out sign. Yeah, well, I would like Enrique or Max Allegri, Thomas Tuchel, if that can happen. If Arsene gets the PSG job and they don't actually give it to Tuchel, then maybe Tuchel could come to Arsenal. I could get my wish. I don't know about Yogi Love. I don't know.
I'm just all for Arsene Wenger for the U.S. men's national team, just so I can see Chris's head actually explode.
That would be great for this channel.
Oh God.
And I saw something, or I heard something.
I would rather we went out of business.
I heard something on a pod today, and I can't remember which one, so I can't credit. I apologize for that. But talking about Arsene Wenger and what's Arsenal Fan TV going to do now?
I mean, they'll be hating the new guy, whoever it is, pretty quickly. I think so. Blood, fam. But yeah, the only guy I really don't want is Brendan Rodgers, and I really can't say why. I just don't. So
I would be in favor of Brendan Rodgers only because it just brings on more of diluted Brendan. Which that would be worth it in and of itself.
Robert Cordova asks, Wenger's first game was in 96. What were all three of us doing in 96? Actually, I may have the best story there. I was in college in England at the time. My first Arsenal match at Highbury was the last game before Wenger took over. So I was actually at it was a Sunderland match like 2 weeks before his first game. Like Patrick Vieira is like a 20-year-old, maybe probably 20 because I was 19. I think Vieira is a year older than me. I was at the last match before Wenger came in.
Yeah, I was in high school. So
I was starting my junior year at the University of Minnesota.
You were not at the at Highbury for that match?
I was not.
I'm sad to say I've never seen a match at Highbury. I've been to Highbury with you, Chris. We did the tour. And the only reason we didn't see a match there was because that match got bumped because they were in the FA Cup semifinal. So we went to that instead the weekend that my first visit to London. But yeah, Highbury was an amazing place, and I wish I would have seen a game there. It only took you 10 years to get me the photo that you took of me.
Somehow you had to make it an insult.
I've complained about that on this show before. When Chris takes a photo of you, if he doesn't deem it good enough, and smartphones and the editing software on a phone has helped speed this up significantly, but it used to be like you didn't get the photo and maybe ever. There's one of me and Drew Carey out there from the Dos Acero in 2005. I don't know that I've seen it. I remember taking it. I don't know that I've seen it because Chris didn't deem the flash correct or some shit. I don't know. Christian
Wait,
Pulisic.
wait, wait, wait.
Oh,
Chris versus technology, and technology wins
he's
again.
good at taking photos.
But
I'm
this
a
is
good
technology.
photographer. I was drunk and I think screwed up the flash because we'd been out in the sun drinking all day at this game. I'd
Christian
been
Pulisic's gonna play
overserved,
in Philadelphia.
so to speak.
He's coming home. Q Daughtry. How weird is it that U.S. Soccer, and I understand completely why, but that U.S. Soccer decided to make one roster announcement, one player a month before the game actually.
By the way, that is whose jersey I'm wearing right now.
Did you get it in the Dortmund fan shop super sale?
I did,
They're
yes.
like $40 or something for
yeah.
pretty amazing.
Yeah, with all the patches and personalization and everything, it was roughly 50 with shipping to me. It was my birthday present to myself. Just came today.
To you. I'm surprised it was your birthday. I'm surprised it wasn't like lost in the Atlantic.
I was a little afraid of that. Something like that.
The new Dortmund home kits are pretty nice, but it looks like they're actually almost identical to the Arsenal home kits that were leaked. They're just Puma's going with like a Nike type template. They kind of have rings around the sleeves. It's all right, but yeah, they're cool.
And nipples in the chest.
Nipples. They need to be there. It seems like they've relaxed it a little bit. The fly Emirates on Alexis Sanchez's chest for a couple of years there were like, it was pretty intensely stretched. But yeah, I guess we can be excited about this game at the end of May, even though that should be a World Cup tune-up game, and it makes me sad that it's not. I guess we can be excited about it because Pulisic will be there, and so will, because that's not technically a FIFA date, a lot of MLS guys. Do you think we'll see the likes of a Michael Bradley or somebody like that there, or are they going to go with Tyler Adams and
I hope it's young guys. I could see Bradley coming in. See, Bradley's one that I don't think, Bradley and Josie, I think, are two examples of guys that I can see them still having a role, at least for the next year or two, where you kind of want to help them, help the next guys sort of bridge the gap and maybe have a little bit of leadership in the locker room. I get that. It's more like Dempsey, who I don't see any point in bringing him back because I don't think he's going to teach anybody anything, and he's just coming back then to get his record, and I don't think he should get a record on like a testimonial game. But that's off the subject. Do I see Bradley coming back? I'd rather we went young, but I could see where. I mean, look, he's still playing well.
Well, let's go back to what you were talking about earlier, Chris. You were talking about Michael Bradley being a center back. You know what? Get him a run out there. You say we've got some talent back there, and we do, but when you get to those qualifiers and those nervy ones down in Central America and in these countries that are not fun to play in, where they throw pists and batteries and everything else at you, wouldn't you kind of like to have a steady hand back there that can probably do the job for you? You know, like almost like a second career for him, like where he drops back and that's what he does.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he'd make a giant mistake.
Yeah,
at least not very often. I don't think he'd have a terrible game doing. Like I think he'd be fairly steady. I do. So it's not the worst idea. I'm fine with it. And I guess if that happens, does he remain the captain, or do you move the armband to?
That's a good question.
No, I think at this point you go to Pulisic with the armband at this point. I think it's his team.
He's 19, but he's been very vocal, and since the loss happened, and from what he said, he sounds like a leader to me. So I guess. I
mean, look at, and as guys know, I like to use other sports as an example. Sid the Kid was a captain early. Steve Yzerman. If you transcend greatness and you're a leader, like Pulisic already is. He seemed like the only one who actually gave a shit when they lost in Trinidad and Tobago, other than you two, of course. Yeah, it's his time to have the captain's band. He clearly can take on that leadership role. I have no problems with that, even at 19. It's something a gift you have or you don't have, and he has it, I think, especially when it comes to the national team.
By the way, he's got quite the sleeve going, the tat sleeve going.
Yeah, he's building that one up.
He's got the Kenny Powers tat on the one bicep, like the eagle and the flag and the Abraham Lincoln with a machine gun or something like that. And he always had
riding
like
a grizzly bear.
Yeah, he always had the little one on the forearm. Now on the other arm, he's got it. It's going pretty good. So there you go. Pulisic likes tats. That's what we've discovered. You know what we could talk about, guys? We could talk about
hashtag Pulisic likes stats.
we could talk about the Fox World Cup
Well,
crew.
quickly though, I was going to say
sure.
before we get into while we're still on kind of naming the U.S. naming someone to the friendly roster already. Josh Sargent has been training with the first team at Werder Bremen. He can't play until the fall. Does he perhaps get into the talk of guys who could possibly get called up for some of the friendlies coming up?
I would like to see that, yes.
I'm assuming because of when these happen in May that probably not happening there. But I don't know. I mean, he can't play until fall, so is it terrible? Then he'd have the summer to recover if anything bad happens.
Yeah.
At this point,
just a thought. I mean,
at this point, I think you're throwing the net out there and casting it as wide as possible.
That's kind of my thought.
Guys that have a shred of talent, you give them a run out, see what the hell happens.
Yeah.
They aren't playing for anything for the next couple of years, and I see the hashtag Pulisic likes tats is in the chat box. Thanks, Alex. Appreciate that.
We got to get that going on Twitter.
No, we really don't, but you're going to do it anyway, for sure.
It's still insane to me that you have a human being sleeping on you, and yet you're able to comment on soccer-related matters.
I'm still amazed she's sleeping, to be honest. She should be ready for her bottle about half an hour ago.
Are you going to feed her from your teat?
Once again.
Possible.
Fox.
Okay.
I'm glad Ivan pointed out that Saracen did call Pulisic into camp. I think that would be awesome if USSF. It'd be the most U.S. soccer thing ever that Pulisic is going to be back, but Saracen decides not to call him into camp.
No, and then there'd be a mix-up, and there'd be no one in any level of authority to clear up the mix-up before the game actually happened. Yeah,
Well, we haven't hired a GM, so what are we going to do?
Well, and somehow it would just be Don Garber's fault.
Just don't put it on Thomas Rongen to make it happen.
Oh,
because
God.
we know what'll happen.
Hey, Alex, you're missing an E on there, buddy. Not fed her from the tit. That sounds like some government program being advocated by the EPA.
And I went teat to kind of soften it up a bit.
Well, USfanTV. Hashtag USfanTV.
You were saying?
While we're on the topic of friendlies, September friendlies supposedly we're going to be playing Mexico and Brazil in the U.S. both.
Some moneymakers.
Yeah, I don't really like friendly U.S. Mexico games. Granted, there's no such thing as a U.S. Mexico friendly. Kind of like I was explaining to some guy who was getting offended by like us chanting against Mexico in Philadelphia. We're always playing Mexico. Every game we play is against Mexico. It doesn't matter who the other team is. We're always playing Mexico too. Because anytime we screw up, they're quick to go, oh, see, you lost to them or whatever. Just like some of them will do in our chat tonight about the World Cup or about some of the other videos we'll go in. So on the one hand, there's no such thing as a friendly. They are still a little bit fun. But I don't know. I like the extra juice to it when it means something. So a U.S.-Mexico friendly is less enticing to me because in the end, the only thing we really have is a little bit of bragging rights on each other. And right now, even a win there, even if we Dos a 0 them, they'll still be like, yeah, but we played in the World Cup.
I think it's one of those where if it's close enough or if it's in a destination that we want to actually go, maybe we'll end up going. But I don't know that I need to go to Phoenix.
San Antonio was pretty fun.
It was, except when we were trying to get food after like 7:30.
That's true.
Apparently,
that's true.
Everything is there are no restaurants, even on the Riverwalk, that serve food at like a reasonably late hour. I don't understand.
Yeah, all these bars open. You can have all the beer you want to drink, but you can't get any food afterwards. It's like, what?
Weren't we confined to like Whataburger and McDonald's? Except the lines were down the block for both of them.
Right, and then Chris wanted to bring back the phrase "get fucked" when we were at McDonald's.
Oh God.
He wanted to bring it. He was not happy with the amount of times it's being said in today's society. He wanted to bring it back.
I happen to like that phrase, but wow, this show is way off the rails.
Even the line for Whataburger was about a block down. It was like 40 minutes to wait to get Whataburger. It really,
And
at
it was
that
like
point, was almost not worth it.
like New York City. It could be like 3 a.m. and there's one of those dollar pizza place.
Yeah,
They're all like there's always food. Not in
well,
San Antonio. And then we ordered terrible room service, didn't we? And it came at like 2 in the morning.
I think so. Yeah.
So yeah, I like you, San Antonio, a lot, but that shit needs to get worked out.
You do, yeah, you do need to fix your late night eats.
Anonymity's here. I really feel like you could have been here earlier in the show, Anonymity, because I feel like you've missed some things. There were some things you probably needed to be here for, but you may want to go back and watch.
I was going to say, that's your homework, Anonymity. Go back and watch it.
Yeah, Robert, I don't agree with anyone. I assume you mean Alexi Lalas. Did he say that? That U.S. and Mexico, biggest rival, but then he wants America to support Mexico as the home team in Russia. I think that's just...
I think that's Fox trying to
Fox
sell their
Sports
product.
talking through
and
his,
I think a lot of
his face because
will.
Yeah, I've seen people say that on Twitter, and it disgusts me. No, you don't.
You know what? Take a breath, Chris.
Schadenfreude is a beautiful thing.
It is not Alexi trying to save this for Fox. It's Alexi Lalas smoking a shit ton of weed. Let's get it right for what it is.
I don't agree with the support the conference either. Like in no circumstance for any other team I like on any level in any sport do I go, yeah, but I want the conference win, except possibly baseball, just because I hate the American League completely. So maybe there I'd go, okay, I'll stick with the National League team. But otherwise, no, I just go, if it's a rival or something, no, I do not want them to win. I don't care the circumstances.
Well, I mean, thankfully for you, at least when it comes to hockey, you'll never have to worry about a Stanley Cup.
Ugh.
It's fair. It's tough, but fair. Fox, speaking of Fox, we were just talking about Fox. They're going to, they have a lot of people who wore formal wear for a photo. They're going to be covering the World Cup. But it does not seem like they're going to put forth quite the effort that ESPN did its last couple times around. The studio, there was a report that it was going to be in LA. They were going to do the studio. And then Alexi Lalas today on Twitter said, no, we're going to have one on Red Square in Moscow. It's going to be awesome. So I guess we have to believe him because he works for the company. He'll probably be sitting on that studio. We'll see. But the bigger problem is a lot of their games, most of their games are going to be called off monitors. Now, this is not something that's terribly unusual. Even ESPN did this a little bit in the last couple World Cups, but this is something I hate because as an announcer, you're restricted to what you're seeing on the screen. You're restricted to the international feed of the game and what you're seeing on the screen. And sometimes you get an extra camera that they'll punch up on a monitor for you, a tactical camera or something, but you can't see things. It's a big field, and you can't comment on the atmosphere and things like that. It drives me nuts. And for the World Cup, I expect my announcers to be in the.
I didn't like it in today's Arsenal match when they'd go to replay, and all they could comment on was the replay. Meanwhile, the ball moved all the way down the field, and nobody knows how it got there.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, and it's not their fault. They're doing the best they can, calling it off a monitor. And this idea that you need to have all English accents or something like that calling the World Cup here, I think there are some good American soccer announcers, not Gus Johnson, but I like JP. I like John Strong. I think they're fine. They do a good job, but I want them there. Like I want to, I want to see them standing there with the game behind them before the game. And I want them there. It's just, it's a better call. And so a lot of people are saying we're going to watch on Telemundo instead of Fox. I don't think that's a bad call. Telemundo is going to do a good job with it. So
it looks like going to Russia, you got John Strong and Stu Holden, and then it's JP and Tony Miola will be the other ones. And I see Allie Wagner will be one of the analysts for the games as I'm reading through all this. But she'll be in studio.
I like her on it. I actually like her a lot. So
Yeah, Glenn Davis and Kobe Jones, Jorge Perez Navarro, Mariano Torrillo, Mark Followell, and Warren Barton. Oh, Wagner will be paired with Derek Ray. So, not a, like you said, other than the in studio part, it's a decent enough lineup. But I don't know. I'll watch what I watch, and I'm not going to really lose a lot of sleep over the games I don't watch. I wonder if I'm going to throw this out there as my conspiracy theory because I'm channeling my inner Chris Combs. Is the part of the fact that it's in Russia and just the less you have to bring in, maybe the easier it is?
Well, I mean, maybe. I know that when my wife works for NBC, and when they sent a bunch of crews over to Sochi for the last the Olympics they had there, they had burner phones and burner laptops and left it all behind. They didn't bring their stuff there. They were that concerned about it. This was 2014 was the Sochi Games. Is that right? So yeah, it's that there's maybe something to that, but if there was money to be made here, and if they thought people were excited, maybe they would. But it's also Fox. They're a notoriously cheap TV company. They always try to do things as cheaply as they can compared to the other places. So I don't know.
Anonymity says it's time to throw some tea in the ocean. Hat guy.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm getting fired up.
Take that.
Actually,
take your taxes.
It's all Don Garber's fault, guys. It's all Don Garber's fault, and this is all one big plot between Fox, Don Garber to destroy the NASL. That's the whole plot.
It's because they don't want pro rel.
Somebody's going to clip that and make it into a real tweet.
Wait, didn't I do that last week?
Speaking of tweets, the president tweeted about the 2026 World Cup today.
Yeah.
I couldn't find any actual faults in the tweet itself. He's like, come on, guys, support us. We would have supported you.
Well, except that he does, like, he says it in sort of an insulting way to other countries. Like, oh, why do we support you? You can't even support us for this.
Yeah.
Like,
here,
dude,
I will read the tweet.
I will people when.
Here, I've got it up. I will read it. The U.S. has put together a strong bid with Canada and Mexico for the 2026 World Cup. It would be a shame if countries that we always support were to lobby against the U.S. bid. Why should we be supporting these countries when they don't support us, including at the United Nations? Well, number one, the grammar's correct, so I don't think he actually wrote it.
I was happy he called it the 2026 World Cup. I would have expected that to be messed up somehow, but yeah, it
just what we want is Trump to come out in favor of the World Cup for the U.S. a month and a half or whatever it is before the vote. Please, just shut up. Just be quiet.
That's a fair point. He might be the guy to derail it completely.
Yeah. But if there's an upside of somebody who knows corruption in the construction industry, he might be the ace in the hole when it comes to that and being able to lobby FIFA effectively.
I mean,
that's not a bad point.
You know, Infantino may be trying to rig things to get us the World Cup, or maybe not. Who knows by all the things that are going on. But it does seem like some of the hoops that the bidders have to jump through are a little bit slanted towards the U.S., we'll say. But, God, we don't need somebody like Donald Trump coming out and just offending everyone in the world and giving them more reason to not vote for us.
Yeah. What else, guys? What else do you guys want to talk about tonight? I think that's the extent of my list.
Should we discuss the Gianni, not yet indicted, Infantino's 25 hidden, questioned, unknown source, $25 billion offer for 2 extra tournaments?
Why don't you fill everybody in on that, and then we'll comment.
All right, so they want 2 extra tournaments. One of them would be this nation of leagues.
Nation of leagues.
I was trying to say League of Nations, but whatever. This Nation League, the League of Nations, as I think we've joked in the past.
Nationwide is on your side.
Yes, indeed. Anyway, so one of the tournaments would be this Nation League that it's unclear. Oh God. Thank you, anonymity. It's unclear
We'll get to that.
who
I have some thoughts.
how this Nation League would work. It could be modeled like the UEFA one. It kind of sounds. I mean, there are no real details out there, so you're kind of it's kind of up to anyone to guess or interpret or whatever. I think mostly guess. To me, it almost sounds like it's a sort of rival World Cup, like a small World Cup. It's a World Cup mini or something. Um, the other tournament
And
would
when it comes
be
to mini, you're the expert.
Wow.
the other World Cup. I mean, the other tournament would be a would essentially replace the Club World Cup, and almost sounds like a Champions League. So like the champions of leagues all around the world would play each other in some kind of expanded Club World Cup, and the idea being that you would have the champion of champions, the king of kings. Um, I guess there's a sense in which these tournaments could work. I suppose I see what they're going for with the kind of mini World Cup light, we'll say. Um, if it is, if this is how it works, um, in that I'm sure it's that FIFA wants some of this money. You know, they see the Euros going on. They see,
Right.
you
The
know, all
Euros
these
already are that,
individual.
but
Yeah, they see all these European tournaments going on, or I should say these conference tournaments going on, and they see it as, why shouldn't we get that money? Why shouldn't we see that just as ours?
Well,
I question, when do these conference tournaments take place then? Because presumably you have to play these on a 4-year rotating cycle, so they split the difference between the World Cups. Where
Chris, I guess what it comes down to though is with any of these things, it's all centered on what Europe wants to do because let's face
Yeah,
it, between that and Asia's really that's where the money is. And who's going to want to spend it? Who's going to want to send
the
their players? I mean,
the
you're
big thing, I totally agree, and that's actually one of the biggest reasons I'm not in favor of this, at least from what it sounds like. I mean, it does, because they are opening this up like they are with the World Cup bid, to all voters. So all countries will have a vote, and the smaller countries do seem to be in favor of it because, like everything else, it means they get more games. The problem becomes, when do these players get a break? I mean, you're already talking
yeah.
easily. Some of these guys could easily, in a big, like if they have a big tournament, or you know, like qualifications and then a World Cup or something, they could face 60 to 80 games in a year already. You know, they're playing almost up till the start of the new season. If you got preseason or something in there too, how are they fitting this in? If presumably the conferences still have to have their tournaments, because that's part of how you determine qualification and things. So that's still going to happen. I mean, this would do away with, well, at least one of these would pretty much do away with the Confederations Cup, which, fine, whatever. It doesn't make that much money. It was really just a stupid test for South Africa and Brazil anyway. It's kind of a waste. So fine. But while, I don't know, the idea of the best teams all playing each other does sound a little bit interesting, it also kind of steals the thunder from Champions League, which is still going to be a higher quality anyway, because I'm sorry, the best of MLS and the best of Liga MX aren't going to go beat Barcelona, and Barcelona's already out of Champions League. So I don't know. I
would it
see
set it,
that is a problem.
because the money's in Europe, as I kind of pointed out earlier. Do you see if something like this happens? Do you see Barcelona, Bayern, Manchester City sending in their B and C squads and just saying, "Who gives a crap? We're not making as much money on this as we do in the
Yeah,
Champions League, so
I
forget
think
it."
it'll be a bit like this International Champions Cup, or whatever that thing is they call
Yeah,
the
that's
thing with ICC, whatever. Yeah, that has the games all over the world each summer. I think it's just maybe a FIFA organized version of that.
Well,
And yeah, for the most part, you get, you know, guys way down the list, because the best players are off relaxing, recovering. You know, if this truly goes off and teams truly take part, when do those players get to recover? which just means more likely they get injured and then don't play in the big tournaments.
Well, and I don't
So,
think FIFA doesn't care about that.
oh
They
no,
never have.
they don't even think about stuff like that. Yeah.
Here's the thought when it comes to something like the ICC. Do you think the ICC is really almost nothing more than a glorified travel agency? They just put together all the scheduling, take care of all the logistics, so
Maybe.
these clubs don't have to worry about getting the stadiums on certain dates, that the ICC selling the tickets, that everything's done by the ICC.
Yeah, they buy the spots ahead of time and then fill it in with the teams, basically. Yeah,
Pretty much. That's kind of what it. But
The
you know, let's face it. This is nothing more than Infantino working with Soccer United marketing, because it's going to be on them. It's all their fault, and it's back to Don Garber trying to screw over the NASL.
That's it.
That or it's Rocco, or Ricardo Silva and Rocco Comicio. One or the other. Take your pick.
one of the ways that FIFA wants to get teams on board with this is they're talking about giving like 75% of the revenue from these tournaments to the participating teams. The other issue I see with this is, does that just make those teams even richer? Does it just further like skyrocket these ridiculous transfer fees because teams like Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, PSG can afford it? Man City. It's just become even worse. And now it's, instead of a top 4 or something in a league, it really is just top 2 everywhere or top 1. And the leagues just don't matter anymore.
But TJ's right about this. At some point, there will just be a league, and that league will be above everybody else, and it will be your Bayern's, Barcelona, Real Madrid. I really do believe that. There will be no pro rel. There will be no way to play your way into that league. The biggest of the big clubs are going to form it, and that'll be it. It'll be the NBA of soccer. So
Well, and the way they'll do it, Pat, is I have read a few things. There'll be some pro rel initially, like 4 teams can get in or 6 teams can get in from some of these smaller countries, so they can say, hey, there's pro rel in it. But you're right, the super clubs of Europe have been threatening to do this for years. I mean, they had their gang of whatever that kind of ran things for a while till they got what they wanted with the Champions League. So it's a logical next step. We all know it's going to be. And why shouldn't it? Again, what games do we watch on TV? It involves Barcelona. It involves Real Madrid, Bayern, Man United, Man City, Arsenal 20 years ago, maybe. Do we watch the do we watch the champion of Finland or
you probably do.
Well, I do, but I'm weird that way.
Do you have the jersey?
No. I haven't bought I haven't bought a jersey in a while. It's kind of starting to disturb me.
Not in a while. In a while for TJ, that means like 6 weeks. The other thing, and I want to bring this up. It's more of a joke. We've talked about this amongst ourselves. The money for these tournaments, they won't admit. Infantino hasn't admitted where it's come from. He wants everyone to vote on this blind, which seems insane to me. For a governing body that's supposed to be on the up and up. That we can't talk about where this $25 billion is coming from. But
I have some guesses.
It's almost certainly coming from China or Saudi Arabia.
Right.
Both of those countries.
Or Ricardo Silva. Or Ricardo Silva.
Both of those countries, their investment arms are controlled by their federal governments. So, for a governing body that says you will be kicked out as a member if your political arm and your football association ever compete with each other, or your government cannot oversee your FA, you're taking money from government bodies. Isn't that a conflict of interest?
It's FIFA. They love a good conflict of interest.
Realistically, it's a rhetorical question. We all know exactly. Yes, of course, it's a conflict of interest. Next question.
Last thing we should get to tonight, incredibly quickly, is Shadid Khan might buy Wembley Stadium, and I'm all for this, and here's why. Even though I feel like that kind of takes away some of the luster of Wembley, if he is going to move the Jaguars there, This completely screws over Tottenham's plan to have NFL games prop up revenue at the new White Hart Lane. And I am all for anything that screws over Tottenham. So
Who?
bring it,
Well,
Mr. Khan.
and didn't they say like part of this new stadium for Spurs, that other team in London or North London, that they're
Who?
like the field, they can put another field over the top of the
Yeah.
flat, so like the fake grass. So I don't know. You know what? It's ultimately, I think it is. He's going to make his money on it that he needs to, but it's also a power play towards Jacksonville, saying when it comes time for a stadium, saying I already own a stadium. I'll use that one if you don't want to build or pay for the renovations.
It's insane.
So the ones that are going to get screwed are the people of Jacksonville.
Either that or Fulham's going to have to sell a lot more tickets than they're used to selling right now, but I don't think they may be coming back up to the Premier League, which is a good thing. I like Fulham being at the top level.
Will the Michael Jackson statue come with them when they go back to the Premier League?
Of course, it better. Yes.
Is it still there?
I think so, yeah. That and the Brian McBride pub, right? I think they're both still pictures of Craven Cottage.
Anonymity.
I believe that is correct.
Anonymity. The answer to the question how I can hold the baby without having change a diaper. I changed the diaper right before I came downstairs to come on. So
hashtag USfanTV.
All right. We have social media. You may be familiar with social media. It's USfanTV, so hit us up there. We like Twitter the best. That's the one where if you want to talk to us, go to Twitter. We have YouTube. You probably figured that out by this point. If you have not yet subscribed, please, and tell your friends to do the same. We like that. It makes us happy when the number of subscribers goes up, and we like to see new faces here because we get tired of some of you guys.
Pulisic likes tats. We like followers. Boom.
Exactly. TJ, do you have any final words?
No, I have nothing tonight. Wenger out.
Chris.
Or Wenger for U.S. national team.
Oh, God. Don't do it. Who asked? Somebody's asking. Apple Juice asked if Mario Balotelli's coming to MLS. It wouldn't surprise me.
Is he?
The problem with him is you never know what you're gonna get. It's like 1 minute he's awesome, 1 minute he's just a head case who can't get any, like who just screws up everything in the locker room, on the field, whatever. But hey, if you can keep him in line for a little bit, like if he can stay normal for a little while, I mean, the guy's awesome. But man, there's a lot of baggage to come with him there.
It sounds like he's done well in France, but then again, it's France. Other than against PSG and Monaco, there's not a whole lot there.
Yeah. Are you done? Have you said your piece?
The only things I have to say are hashtag Pulisic likes tats and hashtag USfanTV. You're done.
All right. That's it. You're done. Probably Tuesday night next week, but we'll see you guys. Thanks.